Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Trading Brains. I'm your host, Evan Greif, here with my co-host, Angelo Messina.
What's up, Dan?
Uh,
Everything.
yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm sure you all must be worried since you haven't heard from us in, I don't know, let's say 2 weeks,
Ish.
right? And we typically come out with episodes every week.
Don't have the
But
rifle.
Angelo,
We're safe.
yeah, we're fine. We're safe. We didn't get murdered or attacked by COVID or anything like that. Um, we have decided that we're going to try something new with the podcast. And instead of doing an episode and releasing it every week, we're going to do it twice a month, so every other week, and do more of a focus on video games, because that's something that Angela and I mutually both, really enjoy and can get excited talking about. And we also found that, while doing many different topics on the show was fun and interesting, we haven't really gotten enough feedback on the episodes. So we're deciding to take it in a different direction for now. And if we find out that, actually people want to hear about these other topics, or, we receive requests or feedback about something, obviously we want to explore that. But for right now, we feel that this is what we want to do, right?
Yeah, we're both really interested in video games. We have been playing video games together since middle school. We're long best friends, so like it's not like anything like another day. We have been playing different type of video games, and new games are constantly coming out. So we kind of want to be on top of the curve, on top of these new games that are coming out. Since this today's episode is going to be on Last of Us, and the number two, the second one is coming out in June 16th,
June 19th.
19th.
Yeah. I mean, you flipped the six upside
Like,
down and
whatever
you
you
got
want.
you
How many
almost got
years
it.
going to take to make that 6 to a 9? That's what it's going to be like.
I mean, it depends on how big you are, but I don't know, maybe like six, maybe 5 or 6, right? Your BMI. You got to take in all of that
Yeah,
into account.
thinking everything else.
Yeah. So again, like, if listeners, if you find that you want us to talk about something specific, email us at tradingbrainspodcast@gmail.com. We're always going to be ready to, explore a topic if you want to hear about it. But for right now, we're just going to talk about what we want to talk about. So, like Angela, you pointed out, today's episode is The Last of Us, since it's topical because the sequel is coming out, and the first one I played when it was released, I think, on the PS4, and it was one of the earliest PS4 games. I'm pretty sure it was one of the earlier releases, and I got the DLC. I think it was called Left Behind. But basically, like, what made Last of Us such a great game was the story. Um, because the gameplay, it was okay, but as a narrative story, I think Naughty Dog took it to like another level. Because these characters are so fleshed out, and it was a very mature story with, betrayal, deceit, and war, and just struggle all around. And of course, if it's got zombies in it, some people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it. I personally love zombies. I love
Yeah.
zombie themes, so yeah, it's great for us. Um,
And like watching like The Walking Dead and kind of like see the comparison between the two, and trying like you go to different like location, different settlements, and like
mhm.
the trust comes into play. Like, do you trust certain people? Do you only trust your own? Like,
Yeah,
are you gonna be forgiven if something like if they do betray you? Like, no, not really. But like certain
right.
areas, like you have to find and trying to find the cure. That big one thing. Like you always want to stop the zombies from happening more, or try and turn in your friends and family.
Yeah, yeah. So in Last of Us, the story goes, that I think it was 2013. Joel is like living with his daughter, Sarah, in Texas. And the outbreak starts happening. There's this weird fungus going around that's turning people into zombies, really aggressive zombies. Um, and Joel and Sarah try to escape their town because the infection is spreading, and they end up coming across this soldier who is ordered to eliminate them because, I mean, obviously the military has just decided like everyone could be infected. We have to kill, as many
Yeah.
people who are exposed as we can. So, the officer shoots at Joel and Sarah, but then Sarah gets shot. So miraculously, Joel doesn't, right? Even though the guy's firing an assault rifle. But then Joel's brother, Tommy, I think, Tommy. I'm getting confused because of Animal Crossing, but Timmy or Tommy, he comes in and he shoots the soldier in the head and saves them. But then Sarah is actually shot in the stomach, and she dies in Joel's arms. So like you start out the game and you're like, oh, look at this, this family, like he's a single dad, he's taking care of his daughter, like obviously probably lost his wife, um, and then like 15
Right.
minutes in, not even, maybe 10 minutes in, like his daughter dies, and then boom, time skip to 2033. That's like 19 years later, right? Um, and Joel is just this really disgruntled, jaded old man who's just like, the world is fucked. I'm just gonna do what I have to do to survive, and he's trying to forget his past, of course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so they end up encountering all these interesting characters, like Tess is
Uh,
just this tough lady, right, who's working with Joel, and
they
they're
were smuggling, so they were smuggling people into the settlement, and as well
yeah
as like doing like their bidding, so like contraband, bringing stuff, bringing people, whoever that was healthy, but as well, so the group of fireflies kind of like gave them tasks to do, and then they paid them into ammo, food, materials, whatever the case may be. So they kind of like
yeah
send them as a full errands. I feel like from like how like the game described it as, and like so they found this girl Ellie, and they got stopped at a checkpoint with these guards, and the guards were about to shoot them, and Joel didn't know what the hell. Well, besides he is a smuggler, but he didn't know what was going on because they did have a radar, and the radar pointed at Ellie. In fact,
yeah
so Joe didn't know that. No one knew about that. So this whole
it's
thing
Essence.
now, yeah, they did get set up by a person that they were working for. And so now Joel took in like this personal. I think he saw Ellie as Sarah and felt like being a father figure and taking care of her because he knew if the Firefly have her, they would start doing like experiments and all that stuff and trying to harm her. And I felt like
Yeah,
father role kind of like stepped up the plate again and became a father again. And you
yeah.
saw
I think
that
it's
kind of
interesting
father
how,
to
like,
her.
yeah, when he first started interacting with Ellie, he was just like, all right, you're just cargo. Like, this is just a job. He's trying to get paid and then go back to Boston, right? Go back to the city. But then I think once he reaches his brother Tommy I think it's in Wyoming, Jacksonville, Wyoming, um, he decides, like, no, I have to take Ellie all the way, to St. Mary's Hospital, where the Fireflies are. But then the Fireflies who are there, they tell Joel that, hey, uh, we asked you to bring Ellie here for us, but we're not going to be able to have her survive. Like, we're going to perform the operation or whatever, extract what's in her, right? But they need it to come up with some sort of vaccine or medicine, whatever, to counteract this fungus that's infecting all of humanity. Um, but then Joel, realizes that she wouldn't survive that surgery. So Joel decides to go ape shit and just completely murder all of the Fireflies, right? Um, and then drives away with Ellie in the back seat of his SUV. And then he like straight up lies to her and says that oh, they didn't need you because they found a bunch of other kids who also were infected, but they were survivors, whatever. And the research was inconclusive. Um, but that was a complete like straight up lying through his teeth. Because like you said, he saw in Ellie his daughter, or a chance to redeem himself as a father, right? To do that. So
But
yeah,
like,
it's confusing, right? Because like for me, when at the end of that game, where you see Ellie ask him like, "Hey, did you lie?" and he says, "No, it was the truth." Like, you feel for both Joel and Ellie, because it's like, no, he's lying. Like, it's not true. It's not the truth,
Yeah.
right? But then also like, okay, this man's been through so much. Like, let's let him have this. But then also like humanity, right?
Well,
So
like it's either you take care of humanity, but or you take care of someone's life. It's yes, there's a point that you sacrifice a few for the common good, but sometimes like that human, like, do you want to sacrifice someone who you deeply care about? And I felt like Joel deeply cared about Ellie to be like, do I want to sacrifice you? And like, no, he didn't. He wanted her to have a good life because she was not having a good life, but having like the fullest life that she could have because her life
yeah,
was so short. Like even Ellie with the DLC that came out with her best friend Riley,
yeah,
she had a bad past as well. They both got,
yeah. Well,
when she got bit, her best friend got bit, and her best friend was the first person she saw face to face.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? You brought up a really good point that I didn't really think about is that um, Joel's decision to extract Ellie from the Fireflies and make sure that she was able to live her whole life out is because he wasn't able to do that for Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't able to allow Sarah to do that. And you know, I didn't think about that before, but that's a really good point that you bring up. So good on you.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have anything else you want to talk about with the story? Yeah, patch yourself.
With the no, just I kind of want to see the direction that the next one's gonna take. Is it gonna be just like kind of like a continuation of like the different group of people trying to find Ellie now, and Joel is trying to basically be the dad hero or hero dad,
Yeah.
and
I think
protect her from everything else.
yeah, yeah. I think for the most part, granted, I haven't seen too much content about the second game, and that's because I love just experiencing it as it is
Yeah,
without any sort of like, you know, influence from trailers or anything like that.
and later on
Um,
do another
I
episode
noticed,
about when
yeah,
the
yeah,
game
yeah.
and all
Yeah,
that.
we'll do an episode on the second game for sure. Uh, I saw some gameplay where you play as Ellie, and I'm
Mm.
guessing that mainly you don't play as Joel, you play as Ellie because Joel's this old man at this point. You know, he probably wouldn't be able to do much, um, except be like I don't know, like a wise old man or something like that, or still a grumpy, you know, old man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like, that'd be pretty cool because then now you play with Ellie and like you could be a little bit more nimble and go through the area a lot faster. And since you are smaller, like the body frame is a lot smaller than Joel, I think you could probably go and start crawling around in these tough places and be more sneaky. Because the best game about to how to win this game is to be sneaky.
yeah, definitely more
Stuff.
sneakier than Joel because in the gameplay, like it's all about stealth, especially if you're playing on the higher difficulties. Like it's not only that stealth is going to help you because you waste less resources by being stealthy, but there's also less resources given to you if you're playing the game on a harder mode, right? So like if you play on easy, there's like I don't know, two or three knives or weapons or whatever laying around or ammunition, right? But
Yeah.
then if you're playing like super hard mode, it's like okay, you'll be lucky if you get like three pistol bullets or
Well,
like you know, yeah, exactly. So you have to be very careful and pick your battles, you know, for the gameplay. But then again, there are some points where you kind of have to get into a huge conflict, and you know, there's firefights in the game, and there's like boss battles where there's like a big zombie, so you have to use like all the firepower that you've collected up until that point against it.
and then just basically kind of strategize. I think like the whole game is you have to strategize. So like
Yeah,
when to pick your battle, and that's like always interesting because I feel like this type of gameplay because they do have like some certain actions to like kind of dictate the end story, and that does reminisce for me personally like Mass Effect. Like you could kind of pick like what kind of type of person you could be by saying good things, bad things, or neutral, and like that
right,
would dictate your story at the end and give you different story endings. So
right, right, right.
that like it's kind of like with, and it kind of made it into a more zombie esque like genre. So
Yeah, zombie related story. And of course you have all the tropes kind of like Walking Dead. With the gameplay, I would say to give an imagination of it because, let's be um clear with everyone listening. Angela hasn't actually played the first one, but you're planning on, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so like as an image, I would say when you're in a shootout, it's like Gears of War, where you have to be behind cover, otherwise you just get wrecked. And on the other side of it, it's kind of like Splinter Cell or Hitman,
Okay.
where you can see patrol people who patrol and they have like specific patterns, the way they walk and yeah, what they do. So you just kind of have to learn that and try to be sneaky.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so like, I want to know if like the second one's gonna be more kind of like there's going to be more abundance of ammunition, weapons, because now this is later on, and now like
Yeah.
they're trying to evolve with the virus still being out and about. So like it's
Hmm.
going to be certain weapons that you could use, or technology can like last longer. Like if you use a shiv once, are you going to have that shiv again for the next time?
Right.
Or that's it. You kind of disappear like in the first one.
Well, Ellie has a switchblade that she got from her mom. So
Ooh,
like maybe that would be a sort of like a permanent weapon. But the thing is like I hope that it keeps its survivor type game.
yeah,
Like game where you have limited resources and you have to decide when to deploy those resources correctly.
yeah.
Because if you end up using all of your ammunition or whatever you have at the beginning, you're just going to struggle through the next area or the next boss fight or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, but like, I feel like with knives, then instead of like if you use a shiv, let's just say you use it once, I think like you should get it, but like it's not as effective or it breaks, but you still have to handle it.
Well, if they have like perks where there's like a 50% chance you keep the shiv, right? Or you don't break it or something like
Yeah,
that.
I
That
feel
could
like
be introduced.
like then you could use a little bit like that gives you that little bit of room to play, especially in the harder modes because
Mhm.
the resources become way more limited than the other modes. And also makes you a little bit think. It's like, okay, take this chance now. I'm not gonna waste it on this like random zombie. I'm gonna waste it on a more lethal one or more stronger one, and try to use that.
Yeah. Do you remember the game Evil Within? It
Yeah,
was, yeah, you remember that game?
I never played.
So
I remember that. Yes.
with The Last of Us, I'm just remembering now, is that you could find materials, throughout the game, and you could use those materials as just kind of ingredients for upgrading your weapons. But
Yeah.
you couldn't upgrade all your weapons, of course. So you could decide like, do I want a larger magazine in my pistol? Do I want a quicker reload rate, right?
Yeah.
Of like reloading the gun.
Like
Do I want a smaller what do you call it? The reticle, the
oh
target
yeah,
reticle when you're aiming the gun. Yeah, it's like, or less kickback, whatever it is, you
recoil.
could
Yeah, yeah,
decide
I got you.
how you, yeah, recoil. You could
You
decide.
pick your
Uh,
shoes, and you only get like 3 slots, like something like
yeah.
that.
Yep. Yep.
I do. Yeah, I think that will be interesting because that's still like because like that perform more of player preference.
Hmm.
Like that can give you like I know some people do like having like less recoil. Oh, everyone does, right? But then there's people do like just having that like the regular sight, the iron sight without any rentals or anything like that. Then the bigger magazines, yes, they can hold, but then also it doesn't become any useful when you can't find any bullets. So
Yeah, that's thinking too.
magazine, especially like yes, okay, cool. Well, I have more bullets. It holds more bullets, yes, but you can't find the bullets. You just have an
Yeah.
empty magazine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I also think I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember exactly, but if you are playing on a higher difficulty, if you reload a magazine when there's still bullets in the old magazine, you just drop those bullets. Like you just lose the other bullets that you had in the magazine. Yeah, yeah. So, that's like really making it difficult because it's like in real life, if you get rid of the magazine, you don't have those bullets anymore.
and in certain games, you could just reload. Like you just shoot one bullet, okay, reload. And just
Yeah,
like in Call of Duty, every time you kill someone, technically a lot of people just reload right away because they want a full magazine. But if you're losing
yeah,
every time 20 bullets, you're losing like adds up quick.
Yeah.
Especially how many zombies you got in the map.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that would incentivize you to obviously, like when I was playing the game, I would have everything fully loaded as much as I could, and I'd go from like pistol, run out of ammo, or like if I have to reload, I'll be like, no, I'll quick switch shotgun or something like, and then I'll just reload it later. But
okay. So with the question about the zombies. So like, I'm guessing like they are like if you shoot them, right? Like because there are probably guns to use. If you shoot them, does the other zombie comes to those like that area because of sound? Like
yeah. So the zombies in Last of Us track you through sound, kind of like bats, right? So yes, absolutely. If you shoot a gun, zombies will come looking for you. Um, but then that can also work to your favor, right? Because you can throw like a rock at a surface or like make some noise in some location to draw them away from wherever it is you're trying to go.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're walking, like let's just say you are like crawling around and you hit a can, like does that like would that make a sound? Like I know in real life it would, but like I'm saying like do you have to also be careful with those kind of stuff like that in the game?
I think in the first one there wasn't any sort of like randomly lying around objects that you had to watch out for, but there was a part where like a car alarm would go off, you know.
Gotcha.
And obviously that was like the worst thing to have go off. So, yeah.
When you're running. Okay.
But I think that was a scripted sequence. Like that was part of the game that you had to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. Like, would they put that in last or that like the second one kind of like make it harder?
Last of Us.
Yeah, the Last of Us. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
make it harder in the sense of like, oh, okay, let's put like a random pebble or not random, like whatever, can't something that would make a wind chime.
Like a dog toy.
Yeah.
It's like
Squeak. I was like, oh, run.
that would be the worst. That would be the worst.
I was like, okay.
All right.
But
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this game.
Do you have anything else that looking forward until the game comes out?
I mean, not really. Again, like I said, I'm gonna try to avoid as much as I can. Like I'll look at trailers, but I'm gonna try to avoid any sort of like beta play or something. Yeah.
After we play, after you play and we play about that. Gotcha.
After I play it.
No.
So just to let listeners know, because Angela and I were just talking about it, my PS4 was like busted. The display and audio wasn't working, so I'm sending it for repairs, and let's hope that it actually gets fixed and have no problems, because then we'll be able to stream our gaming, because Angela and I have decided we're going to do the podcast, of course, but also start to do Twitch streaming. So if you guys are interested in that, just stay subscribed to the podcast. We'll obviously talk about it here as well as on social media. So yeah, stay tuned. And Angela, you got anything else?
And yeah,
you got anything else?
Like our second episode of each month of going on Twitch, playing games on whatever we want to play on that day, and just basically just us to whatever topic. Basically, we're going to talk about any random stuff and kind of still keep the training brain-esque into it from our roots. Mm-hmm. But as well as the other episode that we're going to have in twice a month, it's going to be about new games coming out each month of the month and keeping you in the loop. And I know some people like different style games, like when we do Twitch or go on Twitch, we're going to try to play as much as we can. Call of Duty. I know I play FIFA. He's going to play whatever, Last of Us 2, whatever other games that we do play. Maybe
I don't know, some other games, because
yes, what?
Yeah, I have other games that I have now that I could play as well. I just haven't been playing them because my PS4 was busted. So now that hopefully it gets repaired, if it gets repaired, then I'll be able to play those games. And we are making a Discord, right? Yeah.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was just about that.
Say them.
If we were going to create a Discord, we want to create like a community. We wanted to do that with Training Brains, but we never got into it because we felt like we wanted a community about one topic And I feel like gaming community on people who wants to play, who wants to go on when we're on Twitch, play with us as well, or if we're on a Call of Duty, join with us and play with us as well, or whatever the case may be, and talk about new games and gameplay, game through certain items that you could try to find, anything about game related stuff, to educate other people or picking each other's brains. And that's the whole premise of having the Discord. And that's really it. Besides that, I feel that will be great for us and as well as the community with having a game on that part. But that's on. I don't have anything else besides signing out. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
I do have one more thing, and it's very quick. We are all in this coronavirus pandemic situation. All of humanity is dealing with it. We hope that you listeners, you all stay safe and protect yourselves. Try to protect others by wearing a mask and just washing your hands, being clean, and trying to avoid being close to other people. But while you're doing that, if you have the time and you're interested, Angelo has a foot golf league called Long Island Foot Golf, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
People who are nearby, and nearby, when I say nearby, in Long Island region, you can find them. Long
Island, New York, because we have plenty. We have listeners who are in foreign nations.
Long Island, New York, and we play on Sundays. Any day I have a WhatsApp group, and we'll put that in the description on how to join that and keep on tabs on when we do play. Generally, we do play on Sundays, and it's fun. It's a precision sport of soccer and golf combined, and we have a nice community. Last week, we had about 9 people showing up, and I think next week I'm expecting more, but every week is different, and it's nice little going out and trying to get some fresh air than just being home alone and not doing anything besides doing whatever you guys are doing. It's a nice little fun sport to play and give it a shot. And you have to play with one of the Training Brains member.
Yeah, exactly. So you talk to us about behind the scenes stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And our what's going on in our own lives. And so you said there's a WhatsApp group going on. Can you add people to that via a link, or should I add something? I
can send the link, or I could send personally on a person. If they say like, "Hey, I want to join," I'll get their number and I'll add them personally, or I'll send a link and they'll join that way.
Okay. So if you want to join, listeners, email us at tradingbrainspodcast@gmail.com, or just direct message Angelo on Facebook, or make a post on our Trading Brains Facebook group. And then another one for me is I've decided to revamp and restart my personal blog. Try to keep it a simple and witty name, The Life of Greif. So yeah, so please watch out for that. That's also on Facebook. I mean, I'm doing it on WordPress, but I'm gonna also publish it to Facebook. So if you are a member of our Facebook group, Trading Brains, you can just look up my account, Evan Garrett Greif, and you should be able to find my page. And if not, again, just ping us at tradingbrainspodcast@gmail.com, or direct message me as well. I'm going to be doing mostly blog posts about personal finance because that's something I'm very interested in. Investments, growing your wealth, and I'm not sure about what else. Maybe music or snowboarding. Obviously, video games as well. But again, it's just going to be an all-around about me and what I enjoy in my life blog. So again, listeners, thanks for joining us today, and we hope you're as excited as us for the next Last of Us game. And we're definitely going to do an episode on the second one once it comes out.
Exactly.
All
Stay tuned next time. And
yeah,
soon. Be safe, guys. And late.
Bye-bye, everybody.